Welcome to the Neo News Today podcast. My name is Dean, and today we're going to be talking to Timothy Gick, who is the CEO of Spotcoin. Now, Spotcoin are an over-the-counter clearinghouse that provide ease of movement between fiat and cryptocurrencies based in Georgia. They're expanding their operations to include things like mining, education in the Black Sea region, and they're also building a global digital exchange and point-of-sale solution. So Tim is going to tell us all about that. Wherever you're listening to this, be it YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes, don't forget to subscribe, and if you think this content is useful, we always appreciate a share. All right, let's move on to the interview. On the line, I have Timothy Gick, CEO of Spotcoin, whose mission is to, quote, be a trusted digital currency provider and regional authority on blockchain technology, making the smart economy work for everyone through empowerment, transparency, and innovation in the Black Sea region and beyond. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast today, Tim. How are you?
Yes, thank you so much, Dean, and thank you, Neo News Today. Really, really great publication. We track you guys daily. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for coming on. So, can you start by telling our listeners a little bit about your background and how you came to be involved with blockchain?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting question. So I really revolves around my time here in the Republic of Georgia. I came out here in 2013 as a foreign advisor. I was a Marine intelligence officer, did 3 years in Afghanistan, and actually was out here training the Georgian armed forces to go to Afghanistan. That's how I initially came out to Georgia. That was 5 years ago. Kind of fast forward, I opened up a restaurant as kind of like a pet project. And then I had another business, which I still have to this day, doing kind of military support, mostly focused on logistics. One of the co-founders of Spotcoin, Andrew Thornhill, would always go to my restaurant, and that's how I met him. And we became friends. And basically, Spotcoin started as an OTC in 2016, and it grew rapidly. And so Andrew and I had a sit down, and he talked about me coming on board because of my background. We actually did a little bit of business together through my other company, and he liked how kind of my approach to management, and I came on board, and we scaled up from there.
Awesome. It never ceases to amaze me how this space seems to attract people from all different walks of life. You could do a whole show on it, I reckon. So it looks like there are, looking at the Spotcoin project, it looks like there are kind of 5 main facets of the business model, maybe. As you mentioned, you've got the OTC clearinghouse. There's the exchange, the mining operation, SpotPay, which is a point of sales service. And then you've got the Black Sea Blockchain Institute as well. So do you maybe want to give us the elevator pitch first and foremost as a bit of an introduction, and then maybe tell us a little bit about each of those initiatives and how they, I guess, kind of complement one another?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I was mentioning before, we identified really a fragmented marketplace, particularly with high volume trades. That's the inception of the company. We're able to kind of service those business clients that needed to get out of their positions quickly, and with really no marketing whatsoever. We cleared over $10 million in transactions last year. We're scaling up this year as well. With that, we noticed a deficiency in the marketplace as far as education. And I think first and foremost, people need to be educated. I mean, we all do. I mean, I'm constantly reading, trying to harness as much, information as possible, so we can arm ourselves to make better decisions. And so with that, we decided to take an initiative to start an institute focused on the Black Sea region. So we found, we just did a road show in April and basically hit up all the countries around doing speaking engagements, conferences, and everything else. And it was very well received. And, we had a number of people just kind of starving for blockchain education. So we are going to basically do an incubator situation with Georgia American University. We have a very good relationship with them. In fact, the president spoke at our recent summit, which was 2 weeks ago, where we did the first blockchain-focused summit, with representation around the Black Sea region. It was really exciting. Had over 200 people show, including government officials from the Georgian government, and also some other ambassadors, Turkish ambassador, Swedish ambassador was there as well. So it was a really big event. But we really want to kind of put first and foremost education aspect. Secondary to that, we have existing mining going right now through our mining partnerships, which will scale up post ICO. And then what I'm particularly excited about is our fiat exchange. We can go into the specifics later, but in essence, being a neo-centric organization, we want to focus on a simplistic interface that focuses on 4 core trading pairs, of which NeoGas is kind of primary. Mm-hmm. And then spot pay, of course, that you're talking about, merchant processing, enabling full spectrum support for digital currency payments, which definitely there's other ones out there for sure, but we wanted to have that within this region as well. So yeah, that's kind of like the 2-minute elevator pitch if you want.
Yeah, no worries. So with the Black Sea Blockchain Institute, we're talking about education here. What sort of education are we discussing? Are we talking about like development? Are we talking about use of just the general public on how to use blockchain and how to do it safely? Are we talking about regulation? What kinds of education are you going for there?
Well, it's a little bit of a mix of all that. So I think we want to provide an avenue for young innovators that don't necessarily have the means, whether it's financially or accessibility to subject matter expertise. So we're really bringing a lot of like good talent, a lot of good SMEs that come in here from the region that are able to educate those innovators and help provide them with the tools that they need to get their idea launched. In conjunction with that, there's obviously the regulation standpoint. I think the Georgian government is very, very interested in this technology. In fact, they're one of the early adopters of this technology. The Georgian government was actually the first one to put their land deeds on the blockchain, like in the entire world. So that in itself, for such a small country of just under 5 million population, it's really outstanding, and it really kind of shows me that their interest is piqued, that they want to find further use cases for this. And I think that down the road there might be some kind of subsidy situation where they'll help maybe possibly financially or give tax provisions or whatever to organizations that are utilizing this technology, or especially from an education side, facilitating education opportunities for locals and for the region.
Cool. Awesome. So let's talk about the exchange a little bit, because I don't know if you feel this way, but looking in, it looks like that's kind of the big part of this project, the digital exchange. Now, there's been a lot of talk about decentralized exchanges and them being the future, and how the centralized model is kind of dying down a little bit. And Hong Fei has spoken about DEXs being the next killer app for blockchain, all that sort of thing. But so how will the Spotcoin digital exchange be set up? And if you're going for that centralized model, what are the functional or maybe legal regional benefits that you might get out of that going down that path?
I mean, like I'll be honest with you. We had a exclusive interview with the Hong Fei in Seoul. We were able to meet him in Amsterdam, and definitely we share his vision, his 2020 vision for 100,000 TPS. We like the decentralized focus, but the fact of the matter is there's still a necessity to bring fiat into the ecosystem. There has to be a fiat inlet, and right now Spotcoin's future fiat exchange will be the only neo blockchain company to do that. Now there's others, obviously there's other fiat exchanges, but to really focus just for more kind of like global adoption of the neo companies, there's nothing out there to my knowledge. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Now Switch.io is a great company. Obviously it's a DEX, NEX as well. So there's really good decentralized exchanges out there, and we're partnering with them as well. And we're excited to work with them. But there still is, like I said, the requirement, unless maybe 50 years from now, when there's no more paper money or something like that. But for the time being, we're going to help facilitate that. And we like to pride ourselves as an integrating organization. We like to highlight others. We like to, really kind of boost the whole Neo community, and really kind of put their accomplishments forward, because their success is our success. That's how I see it. So that's one reason why, we can talk about the airdrop later, but we really launched the first airdrop to focus on some of the other organizations rather than ours, and we really like that.
Cool. And I think that's important. And the reason I brought up that, that question about the decentralized model is there's a mindset in this space that decentralization equals good, centralization equals bad. But, it's not the case at all. They're just different. In some cases, the centralized model is the appropriate model. And I can see how, with the fiat on and off ramps, that is the right, solution for this particular project. And if I understand correctly, you're going to be supporting a range of different fiat currencies from a bunch of different countries from within that Black Sea region. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So basically all the applicable currencies around the Black Sea region, we will have a mechanism for them to basically go from, Moldovan lei into neogas, Ukrainian grivnas, that kind of thing. So Georgian gel and everything else. So yeah, I mean, we really wanted to provide the locals a way to get in, because when we did our roadshow, a lot of cases people wanted to invest and they just couldn't. They simply couldn't, or they had some kind of 4 degrees of separation to get to whatever coin, X coin, whatever they wanted to get. And it was just ridiculous. And they had to pay 15% in fees plus, large, margin to 2 or 3 different organizations. So it's kind of ridiculous. And especially with Neo, I think it's kind of hard in this region to get into Neo. And we really want to facilitate that.
Oh, mate, it's not just that region. It's hard here in the States. You've got to go through Bitcoin or Litecoin, Ethereum, buy on one exchange, send to another, buy the Neo, send back to another exchange if you want to get out. So, direct NeoGas to fiat exchanges sounds like something that's very sorely needed. All right, so let's talk about some of the other things you're working on. The mining operation is particularly interesting. You have a partnership with a company that uses hydroelectric power to power this whole operation. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on there?
Yeah, exactly. So, Georgia's uniquely positioned, really globally. Its biggest discriminator is the Georgian economy. From a power standpoint, it's like well over 80% of it comes from hydropower, which is really interesting. So clean green energy. There's always the complaints, surrounding mining. Particularly with Bitcoin mining, that there's such waste, and they could be using that power elsewhere, and yada yada. And for that argument, there's definitely some truth in that. Now here in Georgia, we're able to use the hydroelectric power. So currently, through our mining partnership, we have an alliance here. So Golden Fleece, they were the first ICO here in Georgia. Run by really sharp team. There's Ambit Mining. There's Bitfury. I think a lot of people have heard of Bitfury. They were one of the very first organizations out here that really kind of took a foothold. Really from a global standpoint for mining. They're one of the market leaders. So people really once they started to do their homework, they came to the realization that they needed to establish their footprints in Georgia. I think especially after, things were happening in China, we found that a lot of the Chinese organizations that were doing mining there were kind of, to avoid risk, kind of did some split operations and started buying up, opportunities here in Georgia to kind of hedge against some future regulations there in China. But yeah, we've got a good mining partnership here. We're actually, as we speak, building a $3.25 million mining facility. We've already broken ground. We got some great videos of them doing construction. That construction will be completed before the end of the year, and then post ICO we'll scale up that building, and outfit it accordingly. And we're definitely excited about that. And I think Georgia is it's already a market leader, but it's like more visibility is going to come to this region for sure.
Cool. And as far as the mining goes, how does that fit in with the operation? So it's not like a Genesis where people purchase cloud mining contracts or anything like that, right? It's more to provide liquidity to your OTC and things like that. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the functions for sure. That is nice that, we've got the mining set up where, like for instance, in Turkey, we're opening up a branch office as we speak. That should be done in the next 2 weeks. And we've established a partnership with Natick Coins. They're the first physical location where you could take actual cash in. And then, of course, go through KYC for the compliance. And then we're able to provide them the liquidity on the digital side because he's got such a demand, like overwhelming demand. Actually, he can't service all his clients, and we're able to bring in the the BTC or whatever he needs to help service his clients. So the mining definitely helps with that.
Cool. Now, what about spot pay? Obviously, the dream for crypto is that everyone can go and spend it in store everywhere. Go buy a bottle of milk, cup of coffee. So how will the point of sale system work, and what's the user experience going to be like there? So do we have an application on our phone? Is it just a regular wallet? Is it a spot pay account? What's that going to look like?
Well, spot pay, like I was talking about before, we wanted to provide kind of like the full spectrum of solution for our clients, and particularly here in the Black Sea region, there's very few. There was a study done. It has a heat map. It's really interesting, where it has a heat map of all the retail businesses that accept digital currency as a payment, and like predominantly it's in Western Europe. At least for this general region, mostly Western Europe, and then around the Black Sea region, very very little activity. So I think that Spotcoin, as the integrating organization, we're able to bridge the gap and kind of facilitate payments to this region. So of course, we'll have a secure point of sale system. So for actual physical locations, they can pay and buy their T-shirt or whatever, or burger or whatever they want to buy. And then of course we'll have an API in for the digital for the online customers as well with the payment widget integration. So.
Okay, cool. And is there a set number of currencies that you want to support with that point of sale system, or is it going to be?
Well, we really like to stick to the four core, right? So it's the same thing with our digital exchange. So NeoGas, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Sibcoin. And a lot of people never heard of Sibcoin, and so I'll talk about it for a minute. Sibcoin, we've got a great partnership with them. In fact, one of the owners of Sibcoin is an investor in Spotcoin. And they're a regional coin. They have offices in Moscow and Riga, and they're really providing liquidity in and out of the Russian ruble, and then also to Eastern European countries as well.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Now, you've been around for a while, as you said. I think your OTC started in 2016, and you did 10 million in transactions in 2017. So Spotcoin, as it existed, was successful, I guess you would say, as it was. What made you guys decide to tokenize the company, to do the token sale, and what's going to be the utility of the spot token?
Yeah, good question. So, we kind of saw the writing on the wall as far as what's happening in the ecosystem. We wanted to scale up further to meet the increasing demand. So we decided to do an ICO. And then, as far as the token concerned, we wanted to give back. So we're actually offering a dividend token. So basically, we're offering 51% weekly dividends for our digital exchange, and then 12% quarterly dividends for other business lines. And with that being said, I wanted to talk quickly about standards. So this whole community, I think it is kind of migrating towards self-regulation. Of course, there's going to be regulations from governments, and we welcome that. I think like we definitely need some regulations. But from the self-regulating perspective, one thing that really kind of set Spotcoin apart from everybody else is we wanted to be like more transparent. as far as our ICO is concerned. So in accordance with the City of Zion, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, they have their 11 evaluation criteria to really kind of make a determination on what a good ICO is. And so we took that. We got, assembled a independent review board that consisted of nine reviewers, and they basically, dissected our white paper and they rated us. And we compiled and averaged out the ratings, and we posted that right after our executive summary on our white paper for everybody to see. And I think that really set like a new standard. In my mind, it should be a requirement for all future ICOs, especially from Neo, that they should be independently reviewed and adhere to those evaluation criteria. And then furthermore, going back, kind of circling back to the 12% dividends quarterly, we're going to be conducting quarterly audits. Just like the traditional businesses from the more institutional investors, they expect you to have a third-party accounting firm do that quarterly reconciliation, and that's something we're going to incorporate. We're in final negotiations with a Big Four company. I can't name who, but that's going to be closed here shortly. I anticipate in the next week, and we'll make a big announcement with that, and that's going to be huge. We'll be the first, to my knowledge, ICO out there that's been audited by a Big Four for our capital raise. So that's going to be, really, really big news.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing that. I was actually going to bring up the City of Zion guidelines. That I saw that in your white paper, and that you'd gone to the trouble to measure yourselves against that and see how you came out. Because it seems to me that you've really made an effort to, I guess, embrace the Neo community and the spirit of what Neo is trying to do. And that's an example of that in my eyes. And you've done other things like put together some nice videos of Neo hackathons, and if I'm not mistaken, you'll also list NEP5 tokens on the Spotcoin exchange at no charge, as long as they meet those guidelines. But then the other thing you're doing, is you're doing this airdrop for NEP5 token holders for Q-Link holders, Effect AI, Red Pulse, and Switch.io. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And just as a part B to that, I suppose, not to just sit here and stroke our own Neo ego, but did you look at other platforms before choosing Neo, and what made you go down this path?
Yeah, of course. I mean, good question. I'll be really, really honest with you. When I took over the company in September of last year, it was kind of like, the ICO checklist. Like, okay, Ethereum ERC20 smart check. Check. Like everyone was just going with ERC20. We were going to go with it as well, and just didn't really give it a second thought. But the more I started studying, because I am new to this community, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. So I had my ICO program manager and our legal team. We did some research. We cross compared a number of different possibilities. Not just Ethereum, and basically we assembled our own evaluation criteria. This is before we knew about the COZ 11, and it took us about 2 weeks because we were back and forth on it. And, essentially like Neo, it made absolute sense. And what, for me, that was kind of the final selling point was Neo actually had a vision. A lot of these other organizations, they're so short term and you don't really know if they're going to be, sticking around. And if, like we're a long-term company, if you look on our white paper, at the end, we go out to 2021, like showing that we have a plan outside the ICO. We're not going to just, raise all this money and then not actually execute what we're saying. So that sold me on Neo. With that being said, when I was kind of circling back to the integrating organization, we have really great relationships with Red Pulse. I speak with Jonathan Haw at our summit, and just when I was in Istanbul, I called him. I spoke with Jack this morning from Switch.io, and I just visited Chris in Amsterdam from Effect AI, and we have really good relationship with Susan from Q-Link. We interviewed her in Amsterdam as well. So we really wanted to take care of the quality companies that have already proven themselves in the community, and we wanted their communities to really know that they invested wisely into those organizations, and they should be rewarded for their investment via Spot. And as soon as we released this thing, our Telegram community doubled in size in 24 hours. It was really like amazing.
Yep.
How responsive everybody was. We're up almost triple. It's pretty insane in just 48 hours. So we're really excited about the airdrop. We're excited to highlight each one of those organizations. We actually have a fifth one that I can't name, unfortunately. Which is this huge organization that is in their final kind of decision-making process. So if they come on board, then I think it'll be even more exciting for everybody.
Awesome. Sounds good. Now, as we've discussed, the company's based in Georgia. There's a lot of great stuff going on there as far as cryptocurrencies and blockchain goes. As far as Spotcoin's efforts go, how much of that will remain focused on Georgia and the Black Sea region, and how much are you going to do to expand into a more global operation?
Good question. So we already have representative offices in Yerevan, in Armenia, and also in Amsterdam. And a number of our clients, we don't just service clients in the Black Sea region. We have clients in Israel. We have clients in Western Europe. So it's not just in this region. In fact, actually, most of our clients, the OTC side, are not even in the Black Sea region. So, really, from the education standpoint, that's really like the highlight for the region. But at the same time, we are excited to explore other possibilities. Like Sunday, I'm headed to Seoul, South Korea. Actually, right after that, I'm going to Taipei. We have I wouldn't call it an office in Taipei, but we have a development team that's growing, that's actually directly supporting the city of Zion. So one of our lead blockchain developers, Joshua Chen, is working on the NeoPython, backend development process, also helping with the Neon wallet. So we're really excited to contribute in that fashion, as well as we're doing document translation as well for the city of Zion, to translate documents into Russian. We restarted that. We've got, most of the documents completed, and then we're working, the other language as well. So Georgian, Turkish, and so forth.
Cool. Sounds good. And then your token sale is on the horizon, right? So what can you tell us about that?
Well, so we're doing a pre-ICO. Basically, it's going to happen this month. I can't tell you the date; it's a secret, but it'll be released soon. And then basically after the pre-ICO, we'll have our ICO. We'll have a whitelisting period, and then we'll launch our ICO. So definitely stay tuned to our Telegram channel, and we'll have those updates, shortly for the community.
Cool. And that was going to be my next and probably last question. If people want to get involved in Spotcoin, join the community, or just to learn more, where should they go? Is the Telegram the best place, or is there other options as well?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the Telegram is the best. It's just Spotcoin Team in Telegram, and then of course, go to our website, spotcoin.com, if you want to read anything additional.
Awesome. So if you're listening to this, guys, on YouTube or iTunes, where we will have those links below the video or in the notes. So take a look at that, guys. And I guess, Tim, thanks for coming on the podcast, mate. Appreciate hearing about what you're doing. It definitely sounds exciting. A lot of interesting opportunities in your part of the world. So good luck with the token sale, and can't wait to see where this all goes.
Yeah, definitely. And have fun in Texas.
Thanks, mate. Dodging tornadoes.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, mate.